There is a lot going on in this mixed doubles finals point, and we're going to watch it through at full speed here. Nice return by Dekel as the players move in and they get into this dink battle. You have JW going with Dekel cross court. Great offensive dink by JW, gets the reset. And now Bright and Jorja get into dink rally. Dekel's trying to find a spot to come over. He finds one. JW with the counterattack and the missed reset. So a lot happened in that point. We're going to break it down in slow motion now so we can focus on different players throughout. Here's a serve by Jorja. Got nice deep return by Dekel. So JW here just decides to hit a drop because a drive would be not super effective from that far back and difficult. Now Dekel here. Dekel's going to JW's backhand, which this kind of feed gets JW to want to come over here. Maybe Dekel's wanting that so that he can get involved in a cross-court dink rally, which is kind of what happens here for a second. And this ball stays really close to the net. It might have clipped the net, I'm not sure. But it stays really close to the net, which makes it so that JW basically has to come at a wide angle here. It doesn't leave these attacks open when that ball is really, really close to the net as it did here. So that's why you saw Dekel shift early. He comes over. Now they're in a cross-court dink rally, backhand to backhand. JW here in a second, he's going to get a super, there it is, super aggressive topspin backhand to Dekel. That makes Dekel kind of turn his body, so he's going to open up here, so his body's coming like this. Whenever the opponent's bodies turn like this, their angles get a lot more down the line and middle. So when the ball's out in front of them and their body's more like this, then he can go back cross-court a lot easier. But as his foot, as you see, turns out here, there it is. His body's turning here, and so that makes it so that his dinks are more likely there, and there he chooses to go with the reset. This reset puts Jorja and Bright now in the dink rally cross court, as you'll see. Nice reset by Dekel, but again, that puts Jorja and Bright into their dink rally. And now you have Dekel trying to get involved. You have JW trying to get involved. And as you watch JW, he's trying to get involved, and then once the dink comes over, he's trying to cover line in case there's a speed up. So you see him continue to shift over to cover, try to get high balls here in the middle, and then shift over towards the sideline as the ball gets dinked back to cover Anna Bright's down the line. And JW's basically playing in a way that protects the sideline. There's Dekel's. Dekel finds a spot to come over. But JW, again, as this dink's coming over, he continues to slide over to protect his line here with his backhand. So whatever his backhand could reach, he's trying to protect that. And there he gets the nice counterattack. Anna Bright barely misses the reset. But I want to watch that again, the last couple of shots there. And this time we're going to focus on Dekel. So now we're back in it again, watching Dekel here as he and JW are dinking. And then he's going to get pressured, causing him to have to go down the line for a reset. And now you'll watch Dekel as he's trying to get involved here. And the lower and closer to the net that Anna Bright hits her dinks, and the more Jorja is reaching in front of her, the more Dekel can start scooting towards middle. The higher Anna Bright's dinks sit up, the more Dekel has to respect the line. And we're going to notice this here as Dekel's kind of getting closer and closer as these dinks, and Anna's keeping some really good dinks, and Jorja's showing her paddle that she's going cross court. And here's a good example. Jorja's reaching down, paddle's facing this way. Dekel sees that, and so Dekel's gonna, you see his momentum, all of his body weight's kind of shifting this way as he notices this. He doesn't have to respect the line here when her paddle's like this. So he's coming middle and then almost gets the poach there, but Jorja hits a nice short dink. And then here, so if you noticed, his right foot, Dekel's right foot, was about here 2 shots ago. And then as they're getting more and more into the dink rally, and as Dekel's trying to get more and more involved, and as Anna's giving less and less balls for Jorja to go down the line on, Dekel's continuing to move over. And this last one, his right foot was about here when Jorja hit. And then he steps over, attacks JW's backhand. But JW, he's seen this a lot. He's sitting on that counterattack. Great job from JW. One thing I'd like to note on this, I tell people whenever you come over, so in this case, Dekel's coming over to make an attack, when you're speeding it up like that, I tell people that makes that person the primary in that shot. So the primary is the one, they are kind of the one engaged in the point. They're more likely to know where that ball is going to come back if it gets counterattacked. So you'll see Anna Bright step over, and she's kind of supporting Dekel's outside. So as far over as she thinks Dekel can't get, she's trying to scoot over to help protect that. And so you'll see Dekel speeding up, and Dekel, because Dekel's speeding up, he's the one, he's going to protect this. He's speeding it up in a spot that he knows he can protect this, or he knows that JW does not have a good shot here. So he's comfortable to stay here, which makes Anna Bright kind of come out here and protect anything outside of Dekel's bubble here on his forehand. And JW does an excellent job of hitting a counterattack that's not super hard, but it's outside of Dekel's bubble. So if Dekel speeds this up, a lot of times people will one, they'll pop it and then it'll get slammed by Dekel. But two, even if they do hit a good counterattack, they hit it right back at Dekel, and then he kind of can go at Jorja or down the middle with his counterattack. But JW, again, does a great job of just giving Dekel nothing to work with off of JW's counter. So JW hit a good counter. Anna Bright's slid over, even gets kind of pretzeled a little bit inside of her stomach because of the way JW hit a good spot. And then she just barely misses the reset. So there was a lot to dissect in this point. As you see these players getting into these dink battles, how the patterns change and how players are trying to get more and more involved. One thing I'll like to point out is when there's a dink battle, if there's a pattern that's playing out, in this case, let's say Jorja to Anna Bright. If that dink battle is going on, if we just let it go on, let's say Anna Bright wins 70% of them and Jorja wins 30%. That would mean that Dekel doesn't need to get as involved in the point. He can just kind of let that pattern play out. But if Anna's, let's say, losing 30% and George is winning 70% of those rallies, these numbers are extreme for the sake of the analogy, JW would have to get more involved in that case. And these patterns are super important at all levels, whether it's men's doubles, women's doubles, or mixed. If your team is losing a pattern, let's say forehand to forehand, right side to right side dinks, then it's going to put a lot of pressure on the person not dinking to come over and take balls that they might not even normally take or want to take, just to get out of that pattern. It might also make you have to, instead of hit a cross-court dink, hit a more riskier down-the-line dink just to change up the patterns. But these things are important as you're playing, and it's good to notice them and see how the pros deal with these as well. So thanks for watching. That's it for this video, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.